Hey, you all. Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from our nation's capital, the District of Columbia, more specifically, Washington, D.C. I'm here in front of the Washington Monument, named after our very, very first president. And a few days ago in Boston, I climbed all the way to the top of the Bunker Hill Monument. That had stairs inside. And as I was going, the Bunker Hill Monument looks a lot like the Washington Monument. Not quite as big though. So I climbed all those stairs, 300 stairs, the top of the Bunker Hill Monument. And while I was doing that, for some reason I was thinking, you know, I've never been inside the Washington Monument. I have been here to Washington, D.C. many times, but never got inside there. I actually didn't know you could get inside there until I was an adult. I think it was the first time I was in Washington. I'm like, wait a minute, you can go inside that thing? Yes, there's actually an elevator from the bottom to the top. That's the key word there, elevator. So you do not have to climb the stairs all the way to the top. There is an elevator. The thing is, it's not easy to get tickets. It's one of the harder tickets to get here in Washington, D.C. Not expensive. I paid $1 for my tickets, but it was not easy to get those tickets. So there's three ways. There's three ways to get the tickets. You can either camp out here, get here super early in the morning, camp out, and wait for the ticket office to open, and they will have tickets there, free tickets that they will give you. You can order the tickets online. You can do that 30 days in advance. Obviously that had passed, that time frame had passed. I did not know 30 days ago that I would be here in Washington, D.C. on this very day. But they also release another set of tickets online the day before at 10 a.m. the day before. And so this whole thing, this whole process is like getting in a virtual queue at one of the Disney parks. So set my timer, got on there, you know, it's refreshing, just like Disney, refreshing. And then they went live, and I tapped on one time. I think I tapped on like 11 o'clock, the first one, and it was already sold out by the time I tapped on it. I was like, oh no. I went back and I saw there were still some tickets available at a few different other slots. So I just blindly just started, I wasn't even looking at what time. I was just tapping, oh, give me a ticket. So I landed on 2 o'clock, which is about an hour and a half from now, that my tour to go inside the Washington Monument will take place. So I'm really excited about getting up to the top of the Washington Monument. Again, something I've never done before. And now, you know, I have all these like mini quests in my mind. So now I'm like, okay, what other monuments can I get to the top of? I've never been to the top of Statue of Liberty. I think that's going to be on the list. Been to the top of the St. Louis Arch. Today I'll be at the top of the Washington Monument. So that's kind of a mini quest now, trying to get to the top of monuments. But yeah, we got about an hour and a half at this point, I think. Yeah, about an hour and a half until I need to be back here. So let's see if we can find something to do here in Washington, D.C. So I figured while we are waiting for our time, we could pop into the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. Of course, all the Smithsonians are free to enter. So yeah, why not? Why not pop in for a little bit? As we enter, we are greeted by the exhibit on the Star-Spangled Banner, the American flag that specifically inspired the song, The Star-Spangled Banner by Francis Scott Key. He was looking at not this flag, this is an abstract piece of art, but inside they have the flag that inspired the national anthem. Unfortunately, this is one of the only spots that they do not allow filming. I think they're afraid that it will damage the flag. It is very old. So yeah, you go in there, they have the flag laid out. It is 15 stars, 15 stripes. It is incredibly threadbare. You can actually like see through it, but they have it like illuminated, like special lighting. I don't know, I figure they just don't want flashes. I think apparently the flag used to actually hang out here in the lobby. Maybe that got a little worn out. I think they're just worried about people using flash. So it looks like this is their temporary exhibit right now, Forensic Science on Trial. So this is pretty interesting. They talk about use of forensic evidence in trials. This is a bite apparatus. This is how they try to match up bite marks from crime scenes. It says this is Ted Bundy's bite impression there to like match up to bites on victims. This is a deceptograph, a type of lie detector test. And you know, the history of lie detector tests is somewhat disputed. When I worked in CPS, police would use lie detector tests sometimes on people accused of child abuse. And I can't say one way or the other if they work or not. But it's long been disputed that they actually can relatively detect lies or not. Lies, it's in a person's heart whether or not they're lying, so it's hard to come to that conclusion. And I knew they would bring up OJ some way. It talks about DNA testing. They have the actual notebook belonging to a DNA expert. And I remember the time, this was one of the first trials that used DNA evidence. So I think, people didn't quite understand how it worked or what to expect. And here is another lie detecting machine, the polygraph. This one is from 1921. Yeah, they look a little different nowadays. But it does note here that if the suspect believes the machine works, then the test results are more accurate. It's an evidence collection kit from 1982. This cabinet is actually from the FBI, where it was used to sort fingerprint evidence. Here are the results of a poison test from 1872. It says Lydia Sherman was convicted of murdering her husband, Horatio. This is some of the testing done back then, all the way back in 1872, to convict her. Oh my gosh. I did not expect to see this here. This is a splatterhead used in Dexter. Again, Dexter, one of my favorite television shows of all time. There'd be scenes where Dexter would smash these heads to test the blood spattering. So yeah, this is actually a screen-used splatterhead. Now we only have a limited time here at the American History Museum, so I figured it is the year of planes, trains, and automobiles. We would check out the transportation section of the museum. This is the John Bull locomotive. Let's head into America on the Move and see where we've been traveling here on US 1. Currently right there. But our trip here starts in 1876 in Santa Cruz, California. Talking about the railroads connecting most of the country. And look at this massive train here. Got some folks over here talking to the conductor. Oh, careful there, Kitty. Kitty's chasing a mouse over there on the train tracks. You're gonna want to be careful there. This guy's getting the train all nice and oiled up. And it talks here about the creation of refrigerated cars that would allow them to ship produce and meat out west to pretty much anywhere in the country. You can see these strawberry farmers here picking the strawberries, and picking strawberries is back-breaking labor, as we can see here. So about Center Market here in Washington, D.C. The vendor here selling some lettuce. Yeah, he's got tons of iceberg lettuce for sale. Looks like some sausages. And even over here we have some delicious oysters. These are the streets of Washington, D.C. here. Got the horse-pulled carriage. People using bicycles. And here is a Washington, D.C. streetcar. Seems like a lot of big cities had streetcars back in the day. Wish more cities still had streetcars. It's one of my favorite modes of transportation, right behind monorail. See the passengers over here counting their change so they can take a ride on the trolley. And over here we have a personal hero of mine, Horatio Nelson, who went on the first ever cross-country road trip in an automobile. Just him and his dog Bud. We had outfitted with these riding glasses. Here they are being pulled out of some mud here because there a lot of places there wasn't actually roads. There's a documentary about this, and it is absolutely fascinating. It took him forever. It took him forever to get across the country because his car would break down continuously. He would pretty much have to stay in a town and then order new parts for his car, and then once he got the part, then he could fix his car and continue on very slowly. That just constantly happened. You know, some places like going through the mountains and whatnot was like very, very difficult because again, there's not coast to coast roads. There, you know, at best there is back roads. It's the car itself known as the Vermont. This took place in 1903 and took 63 days to go coast to coast. Now I can get from coast to coast in about 4 days, although I think it may be 63 days by the time I get down to Key West on this particular road trip. Here we have a railroad conductor checking his watch. Some of the tools of the conductor: the watch, the puncher where they punch your ticket, the hat there. Now this is a porter who would help guests get on and off the train, help guests while they're on the train. Some of the porter's items here: the brush, the water pitcher, the shoe shiner, the keys. And the roles were traditionally filled by African Americans back in the day, and they said it was actually kind of created a communication line from different communities of African Americans across the country. See here how America continues to embrace the automobile. Of course, you got to find a place to park those cars. There's some 1930s era parking meters, and then some early stoplights. And you can also ride a motorcycle if four wheels is just too much. It's a Southern Railroad locomotive. Talks here about how the Southern Railroads helped connect the South to the rest of the nation's economy. So they shipped out a lot of natural resources from the South. Oh yeah, we are now officially on Oklahoma US 66. Route 66. Shows the big map up there, the different spots, different postcards appearing along the way. You know, next year is the 100th anniversary of Route 66. Some people might say that would be a good opportunity for a road trip. Oh, the Cairo, Illinois. Oh, it's amazing that at one point there was postcards from Cairo, Illinois. Some vehicles here headed out west using Route 66. Basically connected the nation by automobile. You know, at this point, families are going on road trips, not just lone men and their dogs. So here is a campsite in York Beach, Maine. Actually drove through York, Maine on this very road trip. See what the family's up to inside the camper. It looks like mom and daughter are getting dinner ready while dad's out reading the newspaper. Some of the classic tourist cabins that people would vacation in. It's a school bus from the 1930s. What's this little girl bringing to school? This looks like she's carrying like packages. In a 1949 car dealership here, and you see the car salesman there closing the deal, telling his family that with a baby on the way, they're going to need this car to help drive to all the doctor's appointments, school visits, and sporting events that their new child will be part of. Oh, look at this guy peeking in the window here. He could only dream of owning a car that nice. Highway here in Portland, Oregon. Oh no, you can see the Greyhound bus there. A traveling tube of misery. To the 1950s, see the big nice family station wagon there. Everyone coming home from the war, creating new children. Here's a Chicago Transit Authority train. Oh, you can see the busy businessman trying to get on the train. Oh, lights flickering. Yeah, definitely a good simulation of what it's like to ride a train in Chicago. And here's the one thing people do not like about cars, and that is traffic jams. You can see the semi headed through there. It's all blocked up here. Oh, it looks like has there been an accident over here? Oh yeah, you see the people trying to get by here. The cop has some road flares in the road, redirecting traffic with his hand. And bus travel. You know, I have not fully embraced bus travel. Just not had any really good experiences. Maybe I need to try out more buses. Here's Robert Persig's motorcycle. He wrote the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, which was about a road trip he took with his son on a motorcycle. And we need to start headed back to the Washington Monument. My time is coming up. I could get lost here in the Smithsonian easy. I almost did there. I checked my phone. I was like, yikes! I think we gotta get rolling here. I'm gonna head up the escalator. But before we head out, we should grab some pressed pennies here. We've got Abe and Uncle Sam. Someone's clothes, maybe George Washington's clothes, but there it is. There is the Vermont, the car used in the first road trip in America. You know what? Let's just go for it. Let's get all four. Get all four. And there we have it, some Smithsonian grade pennies. Although looking at this penny now, I think it is supposed to be like George Washington's clothes, but it kind of looks like the Headless Horseman. So sad to leave the Smithsonian. I could spend a couple more hours in there, but we gotta go over to the monument. It's not hard to find. I would really hate after all that planning and trying to get those tickets that I missed my window. But yeah, we're going to the monument. And this is the ticket booth if you want to show up early in the morning and purchase a ticket. They also have some merch in here, the National Mall t-shirt. Okay, I don't see any miniature monuments, but you have some prints there with the monument on it, with the cherry blossoms. I think we just missed the cherry blossoms. You asked the lady in there, where did I check in at? She's like, oh, go on up there. And I said, oh yeah, I got tickets online. And she's like, oh, you're one of the lucky ones. Everyone comes in here complaining that they couldn't get them online. The monument itself completely encircled with American flags. Let's walk up here. I don't know if I've even ever touched the monument before, so let's go over here and commune with the monument. Oh, that's solid. That's not going anywhere. And I'm sure we'll get better views from the top, but you look straight that way, you can see the Lincoln Monument and the reflecting pool in front of it. And one thing you will notice coming and seeing the monument in person is that the bottom third is a completely different color than the top. You can see, but right about there, the color changes. And the reason was they actually stopped building, and the building was halted for over 20 years because they ran out of money, and then the Civil War happened. But once the Civil War was over, the US government started the project again, and it was finally finished. But I guess we need to go check in somewhere. Yeah, you see the sign there. All tickets for today have been distributed. I think the in-person tickets sell out very, very quickly. Okay, we line up over here. I guess that'll take us up into the monument. All right, we are going in. Okay, we just went through security, and now we are heading in. There was no filming or photos during security for obvious reasons, but they said we're good to go now. Oh, we have a statue of Washington himself here in this little compartment here.
This is, did you say 900?
Yeah, I think it was on.
897.
All right, there we go. Into the elevator.
And at the time of its completion in 1884, that height made it the world's tallest structure. That didn't last too long, however, because...
Oh, this way.
Welcome to the Washington Monument.
Okay, so this is what it looks like inside the top of the monument. I think you can see kind of the tip right there. Now, the video in the elevator was saying that at one point, for a very short period of time, this was the tallest structure in the world. It actually lost out to the Eiffel Tower. Dang it, the Eiffel Tower. And it is apparently the tallest freestanding structure, meaning that there's no supports. It is all just brick and mortar. So it's basically just a big chimney. Now you can see some of the structure there. You have the protective glass. You can see the inside of the limestone. And again, it's just stacks of bricks mortared together. No rebar or anything like that holding it together. But let's check out some of these views. There we go. That's a view there. We're looking straight forward at the reflecting pond there in front of us. Of course, at the very end of the reflecting pond is the Lincoln Monument. So, two of the most beloved presidents, Washington and Lincoln, half of Mount Rushmore, their famous monuments, staring each other down constantly. Now we're looking out the opposite way, where on this end, we are staring down the U.S. Capitol building, where the Senate and House of Representatives make our laws, for better or for worse. And then lining the side there here in the National Mall, all the wonderful museums. You can see the Smithsonian Castle. That's kind of the headquarters of all the Smithsonian museums. Right down there, that's the Smithsonian Museum of American History, where we just went. And this is one interesting thing about Washington, D.C. As you look out, there's no skyscrapers. All the buildings are relatively short, comparatively. And it actually goes to an old law when, very, very old city here. They made a law about the maximum height of buildings, and this was due to the max height that firemen's equipment could reach at the time. And that law has stayed in place into modern times. So you will not find any skyscrapers in Washington, D.C. I've heard that may be lifted, that there may be skyscrapers built at some point, but over the generations, all the buildings have been made relatively short here, giving it kind of a unique look. I think a lot of times the movies get it wrong. I know sometimes movies will show a skyscraper in D.C., but they don't exist. Talks about the 2011 earthquake that damaged the Washington Monument. I know we felt that. I didn't personally feel it, but my wife at the time had felt that earthquake in North Carolina when it happened. And it says that you can see some of the repairs done up here. I do see like a little metal piece right there. All right, we're now looking out the south side, and you see the much neglected Jefferson Monument there. They're not quite as popular as Lincoln Monument there. I always see the Jefferson Monument. It always reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons when Lisa went to the statue of Lincoln for advice, and it was too busy, so she went to the Jefferson Monument, and he was all grumpy and irritated that she only came because the Lincoln Monument was too busy. And then also, you can see the Pentagon over there, the head of all the U.S. military. And again, it's a huge building when you get up to it, but not all that tall. Okay, and out this way, that is the ellipses there, and you can see the White House. This is probably the best view of the White House you can get anywhere in Washington, D.C. First time I ever came to Washington, D.C., you could get up pretty close to the White House and see it through the fence. I don't know how close you can get now. I know it seems like they've been pushing back the perimeter as the nation gets more angry. But yeah, there it is, the White House. I wonder if President Trump is in there right now. It's hard to tell. He doesn't always say where he is, as does any president. And yeah, they get the sea of vast but super short buildings. So the ranger at the bottom did say that they used to be able to walk up the stairs. There's almost 900 stairs. So the other day I walked up the Bunker Hill Monument in Boston. That was less than 300. So this would be almost like 3 Bunker Hill monuments. I literally think that would end me if I tried to walk up the stairs here. They said they don't allow anyone to go up the stairs because there's like monuments and stones and things in the wall that people have degraded over the years by touching and picking at. And they did say that the elevator has always been here. Even when they originally built it, they used an elevator to raise the materials to get to the top of the monument, and they've had an elevator ever since. And they said that the monument did get a new elevator in 2019. So we wrote up a brand new sparkling elevator, but there's always been an elevator as far back, I think from the the mid 1800s when they were originally building it. And it does get a little crowded in here. You can see why there are such a limit on tickets. It's just not a lot of room here at the observation area. But I think we're going to start our way downward. And look at this. This is the actual lightning rod they put on the very tip of the monument. You can see it's blackened from all the times that lightning strikes it. It says that these were removed and replaced in 2012. And you can see these ones have kind of melted and burned, a little gnarled over the years of constantly being hit by lightning. So this is what the inside of the stairwell looks like. It's all these different mini monuments and plaques that apparently they can't let people in there because people will not respect the plaques. Here's some pictures of them constructing the monument. You can see they use steam power, no electricity. There is the monument halfway. I guess this is the bottom half with the it has the original limestone. There's a piece of the monument. I don't know what piece this is, where it fell off. And this is the top of the monument. This is where we got off the elevator. This is the observation floor up here. Then we just walked down these stairs into this museum area. There it shows cracks in the brick from the 2011 earthquake. And this shows the outside here. Shows that the change in color is 150 feet up. That's when they stopped building and then started back again with the different color there. And this is a reproduction of the very tip of the monument. They placed this on the top and finished the monument. It has inscriptions on all sides. They chose to make it of aluminum, because aluminum was considered to be an incredibly rare metal at the time. Now it is incredibly common. And apparently this was the biggest piece of aluminum in the world at the time that it was placed. Now we wait again for the elevator to take us the rest of the way back down.
Does it drive okay? Right, the elevator's here.
Or of a similar height or taller, please move to the center of the elevator, because on the way down, we'll be doing something special.
And we made it back down. Now, one thing I did notice is that it's pretty much a constant stream. People come up to the Rangers here and ask if there's still tickets available. It must literally be maddening. The Rangers stand out here basically watching people get constantly disappointed all day long. So really cool. I'm so grateful I got a chance to go up in the monument. I'm thinking because I was just one person trying to get a ticket, that maybe people have larger parties, so they're trying to get tickets, and I slid through because there might have been like a single opening when people were trying to get couples and families in. I think that's maybe why I was able to slide in. But it's tricky trying to get the tickets. That's why I would definitely recommend don't just show up here. You have to either wait in the morning at the ticket booth, go online 30 days before, or go online the day before when they release the tickets and get them within seconds of them selling, because they very likely end up empty-handed. But very cool. There was supposedly a broken feature that when we go down the elevator, the doors were supposed to open, or not open, but become illuminated, or we could look in and see the stones on the inside. But the Ranger said that feature is currently broken. So that's a reason to try to come back, I guess, so I can see the stones on the inside. But very cool. Most of the times I show up in DC, it's on the spur of the moment, or I don't know exactly what day I'm going to be here. So I knew pretty much had a good idea when I would be here, so was able to get those tickets. I'm very excited. Finally getting to go up in that massive monument. There is a horse running around in the field over there. It's just a horse running around DC. Just gonna walk down here to the White House, just see what kind of view you can get of it these days. There's a big flock of Canadian geese here in front of the White House, letting their opinion be known. Yeah, it looks like you're not allowed to walk across the grass here, but I'm just following the sidewalk to the White House. So this is exactly how close you can get to the White House. So not very close. You can't really see it very well behind that fence. Yeah, it's kind of crazy over the course of my lifetime how this area has changed and how access to the White House has changed. First time I ever visited here, this road was open. This is Pennsylvania Avenue here. And used to have cars driving by, and cars would slow down right in front of the White House to see it. And there was like a cop in the middle of the road that just all day he just yelled at people, keep going, keep moving. And then when I returned years later, when my kids were young, we actually went right up to the fence there and took photos. And so just right past the barrier, past the other fence, you can get right up to the actual fence there and take your picture. But now, I guess because of hostilities in our country towards each other, towards political hostilities, we can only get this close to the White House. Yeah, I have a picture of my kids just up against that last fence there, and you can just peek right through the fence and see the White House, or stick your camera through and get a perfect picture of the White House. But those are not the times that we are currently alive in. You can still get a pretty good view of the Washington Monument here from the front of the White House. You can see the food trucks lining the street here in DC. Look at all these birds eating out of this garbage bag. I think we're going to grab some food over at this stand here. They have the beef half smoke, which is, I know, a type of Washington DC specific hot dog. I went with a little bit of ketchup and mustard. I think we'll add a little relish there as well. Okay, let's try this. The beef half smoke, it's bigger than a normal hot dog. And it's supposed to be like a unique type of sausage specific to Washington, D.C. So let's give this a try. The gentleman did say it's a little spicy. That's okay, I don't mind a little spice. Very good. Yeah, very smoky flavor to it. Not that spicy, really. It does have like sweetness with a lot of smokiness to it. Really yummy. Also wanted to check out another museum that I've never had the chance to enter, and that is the Archives of the United States of America, the National Archives Museum. This is where they keep some of the most important documents in the United States, such as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. The National Archives is actually on Constitution Avenue, so the Constitution is on Constitution Avenue. The other day in Boston, we boarded the USS Constitution, the ship named after the piece of paper. Now, hopefully we get to see the piece of paper itself. So to get in, you either have to have a reservation, which there's no more online, so that's basically the lightning lane, or you can get in the walk-up entrance, so basically the standby line. So yeah, let's queue up for the National Archives. And if you'd like, you could skip the line by making a $60 donation for 2 guests, a $100 donation for 4 guests, or a $250 donation for 6 guests. I think I'll just wait in line. Okay, it looks like the line is moving just a little bit. It's not too bad. The line seems to be kind of constantly moving. Pretty much the equivalent of waiting in line for a Disney ride. Getting a little crowded in here. I know for a while they did not allow photography or video in here, but they have since, I think recently in the last year or so, have lifted those restrictions. And we are in. And that is what I like to see. All right, the lady at the desk told me, go on and head upstairs. She said there's a group of 100 people coming in. You probably want to get up there and see the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I guess we're headed into the rotunda. Okay, and here we are in the rotunda. I guess this is where the most popular documents are stored. So this is the rotunda in here. I guess I do kind of remember this from National Treasure, but they said there's no line system. You just push your way forward. Oh, there in the middle, that's the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence is over there, and Bill of Rights over there. Let's just dive in and try to see the Constitution. So here it is, the U.S. Constitution, the original wet copy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so it says, "We the people." It's remarkable. See the signatures down here on the Constitution. Separated by state. Constitution super crowded. Bill of Rights over here not getting nearly as much love, but the Bill of Rights very, very important. Very, very faded too. It's hard to read. But, the Bill of Rights, so important. It, otherwise, we didn't have the Bill of Rights. We could have, we could just vote rights away from people. This makes sure that every person is protected in their rights. They can't be stripped of rights simply by a vote or by the president. And here is the Declaration of Independence. And this is very faded. I wanted to see the signers here, and you can barely make out a lot of these signatures. That big one there, that's John Hancock's signature, the biggest signature. That's why people say, give me your John Hancock. There is the actual signature of Mr. Hancock. Yeah, I wanted to see if I could see Button Gwinnett's signature. Button Gwinnett being the most obscure person to sign the Declaration of Independence. I once named my chinchilla after Button Gwinnett. But man, these most of the signatures are pretty much illegible at this point. Yeah, pretty much all you can make out is John Hancock. And he left his mark. That was a good idea, making a signature so big, because it's one of the only ones left. Some would say we live in troubled times. Some would say we're in a country where we just can't get along with each other. But I'll tell you something, coming here and seeing these documents and knowing the intention behind them, and I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying that they are, everything in them is good, that, there's things in there that were changed later that needed to be changed. But yeah, just the creation of our country done with that paper over there, the Declaration of Independence, the foundation of our government. Foundation of a government is run by people, not a king, not an emperor, created there in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights over there to ensure that we do have these certain rights that can never, ever, ever, theoretically, never, ever be taken from us. It does get me a little emotional. I will say that. I didn't know what I didn't know I'd expected. Did I ever feel that way after looking at a piece of paper? But I got that lump in the back of my throat and that feeling right here. It's pretty insane, pretty crazy to think where we're at, where we've been, that these documents are still here to be viewed by the human eye. Pretty amazing. These words, these papers, they mean something, and we should never, ever, ever, ever lose sight of that. Return back to the first floor of the National Archive. We have another important document over here. So this is an old piece of paper from 1297, the Magna Carta. You actually see it's somehow in better shape than the U.S. documents upstairs. It's still almost completely legible, but yes, the Magna Carta was considered the first document to give normal people rights, saying that a king or ruler was not above the law, that every person should have individual rights that are protected. These were, I guess, foreign concepts back in 1297, and this was this was part of the creation of the ideas of democracy and personal rights. And we do have other documents here from the collection. This is a letter written to the president, written to Teddy Roosevelt by a man named John Blair, who was a part of the convict leasing program, which is basically a way for slavery to be extended, where people that were convicted of crimes would basically be leased out as slaves. And I guess he was writing this letter to Roosevelt asking for protection against lynching. And it says that likely Roosevelt never got this, that it would have just been routed to the Justice Department, and who knows if anyone actually read it. Here's a petition for women's suffrage, asking to give women the right to vote. And right next to it is a petition to continue not letting women get the right to vote. Oh yeah, and it's signed all by women who really, really didn't want to vote, I guess. This document here is a repatriation document. This woman, Lakadia Tesmer, lost her citizenship because she married a German man and then lost her citizenship. But I guess she successfully got it back at some point. I guess it is time to exit through the gift shop. They apparently do know where their bread is buttered. They have the National Treasure poster here. And look at this. We have this t-shirt that has the Declaration of Independence with Masonic symbols on it. What the heck? Also a fluffy Ben Franklin bear. See all these items they have here with different documents on them. Got Bill of Rights shirts there. Get your pocket Bill of Rights, your pocket Magna Carta. They have a Donald Trump section over here. Oh, it does say, please refrain from playing with the bobblehead. I guess people were bobbling his head a little too hard. We've got Trump ducks, Trump golf balls. There's the golden head of Trump. And for $315, you can get this Unity teddy bear holding both a donkey and an elephant. The teddy bear calling for unity here. I agree, Mr. Teddy Bear. And we don't have an overabundance of time, but I figured since we're over here, we might as well do a quick pop-in to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. I think we got about 30 minutes to burn in here. And of course, it's free, so it's okay to go in for just a short amount of time. Yes, free admission. Entered here on the bottom floor. We'll head up to the rotunda. You notice they have a lot of rotundas in Washington, D.C. And in here, under the rotunda, we have that iconic elephant. And head up to the second floor. Peek down and see that elephant surrounded by field trippers. So this is their temporary exhibit here, called Lights Out, Recovering the Night Sky. So this exhibit is about light pollution. It says, when was the last time you saw the Milky Way? I mean, I've never seen anything like that, no matter where I've been. Oh, and then here we see, this is Las Vegas. I was told by the Luxor there. Yeah, Vegas has no stars. Here's a brief history of lighting. We have torches. It's just a bundle of wood set on fire. We have an oil lamp. That's the kind that you rub to get a genie out of. Gas lamps. You don't want to get gas lighted, of course. Electric lamps. You got the infamous light bulb there. That's the Edison bamboo filament lamp. This is actually on loan from the Edison lamp company. That's pretty amazing. And lighting today, it's like an LED type light there. So this shows the difference of what the observatory in Cambridge, Massachusetts could see in 1850 compared to today. So that is the beautiful 1850 view. And hit the button here to bring us up to modern times. And oh, all the stars are gone. Well, that's depressing. I do like that. The dark side of light. Have here animals that require more darkness that the light pollution interferes with. Of course, you got bats. We've got some giant bats up there. Oh my gosh. They're migratory birds, and apparently all these birds died from issues resulting from artificial light. Like some of them say they flew into a window or things like that. And these are all insects that need the darkness. These are masks made by indigenous Alaskans of spirits that travel through the night sky. This is a bear sculpture made by a Canadian Inuit, and it says the Canadian Indigenous people apparently talk about sky bears, like the constellations of Ursa Major and Ursa Minor in the night sky. And here on this map of the world, we have places that are designated where the dark sky is actually protected. So you see various places around the world. See what we have in the U.S. Well, there's only one spot here in the U.S. that they have on the map: National Wildlife Refuge in New Mexico, Valle de Oro, and this place here in Alberta, Canada, where you can see the northern lights. That's definitely something I want to see before I die, is the northern lights. I've never seen them. Just turn the corner here, I'm like, oh, it's Lucy. Then I'm like, wait a minute. Lucy is taking a selfie and also making the duck face. So yeah, this is Lucy, one of the early human ancestors. A famous skeleton that was found that changed the way people viewed human evolution. And this is an artist's recreation. So this is an accurate recreation of Lucy, but they portrayed her as taking a selfie and making a duck face. Oh, Lucy. Also up here on the balcony, they have an exhibit about the evolution of the elephant. You can view here, as you can see that elephant down there in the lobby. Looks like they also have a temporary exhibit about cell phones. And to get there, we just have to head here through the Bones and Mummies. So Bones and Mummies in order to get to the cell phone exhibit. Bones and Mummies. And here's the bones. There is a super spooky skeleton there, and also some terrifying monkey bones. There's a massive sea cow skeleton up there. All right, passing through the bones. We get past the bones, through the mummies, and then we can see the new cell phone exhibit. Watch out, it's a croc. Here are our mummies. Yeah, there's a person in there. And this mummy here is maybe a little more ghoulish than those other mummies. Yikes. This is a Halloween level mummy. Now that we've passed the bones and the mummies, we're into the cell phone section. Cell phone unseen connections. We have a giant smartphone there. Guess we got a stand there. I don't know. Oh, it's unlocking? Oh, special alert. You're not taking or saving your video or image, so make any weird faces you want. Okay, it's not. Oh, hey there. This exhibit is about how cell phones change our life. Oh, look at this. I'm crazy, angry emoji head. I hate to admit it. To be honest, I hate to admit it, though. Oh, now I'm a cat. I am not a cat. It says, what's inside your cell phone? Chips? Maybe some gears? Oh, precious minerals. Apparently our phones are a walking periodic table. Shows here how cell phone networks are powered. You can see some of these cell phone towers here. Oh, this one has a street light on it. So this is what cell phones have done to our society. We have the before cell phones and because of cell phones. These are all things that we used before cell phones. We used wallets. We used actual money. Yeah, I remember these days. We used computers, fax machines, televisions. We read books. Man, these were the days, I'll tell you what. You know, we had cork boards where we put old concert tickets. You know, everything was tangible, like taking photos. Oh, I remember taking photos before smartphones. And then, you know, you'd have one copy. You'd have hard copies of the photos. And if something got spilled on those, they're just gone. They're not like infinite like they are now. Yeah, we used payphones. You had payphones everywhere. You had to go find a payphone if you needed to call someone. It really, I don't know, it's interesting. It's really an interesting thing to think about because, I don't know, life before cell phones, somehow it seems more simple. Like, in theory, cell phones should have simplified our life, but it seems that they've maybe made it more complicated. But in some ways, it's obviously made life easier in some ways. Because obviously, you don't have to, like, all these things on this wall can now be done with a little thing in my pocket. One little cell phone pretty much does all those things. There is the brief history of cell phones there, where we went from the 1980s brick phone to the flip phones. I started, there's the Nokia cell phone. So yeah, I probably start more of like the flip phone era is kind of when I got a cell phone. I was kind of a late adopter. I didn't want a cell phone. Then the BlackBerry, which is now extinct, and the iPhone, which has started in 2008, but has kind of became the template for the modern smartphone. So we've lost all these things because of the cell phone, but what has the cell phone given us? What has it given us besides what it's taken away? It's given us emojis. It's given us cell phone covers. Cell phone covers. It's giving us shirts with cell phones on them. I don't know. What do you guys think of this trade-off? Leave in the comments section. Do you like life before cell phones? Those of you who lived before cell phones like me? Oh my gosh. They gave us selfie sticks. And look at this. This is a coffin. A cell phone coffin. I have an old style cell phone, but a cell phone nonetheless. I don't know, maybe they think about like communicating from beyond the grave. The tower of different cell phones here, all these different styles. Now I would say I probably got my first cell phone probably, I don't remember exactly which was my first, but it probably looked something like that. But I feel like that was like a period of time where like the design was shifting rapidly. I had the Razor for a while. That was really popular. Everyone had the Razor for a little while. I remember this kind too, where you actually had a keyboard. I actually liked that. I liked having that kind. And then when I switched to a smartphone, I didn't like it because the keys were all digital. I didn't like it. I wanted the, keys that you could actually press, real, tactile keys that you could actually put your fingers on. But eventually I adapted. But man, yeah, this is a trip through the early 2000s here. All these different styles of cell phones. Yeah, no one uses the stylus anymore. I think we should grab some souvenir pennies here. We got a panda, some giraffes, a lion, a bear. We didn't see any of this today, but I still want the pennies. All right, got the Smithsonian pressed pennies. These actually look like they should be from the National Zoo with the panda and all that. But yeah, I just wanted to get some. Didn't want to pass up the pennies today. Well, the museum is closing, so we have to leave for now. I will see you soon, dum-dum. I always like to say hello to the Olmec head behind the Natural History Museum. Always like popping into the Smithsonian's. As I said, they're completely free, and they are some of the greatest museums in this country. So I got to, you can just pop in if there's something new going on. So I was lucky today. I caught new exhibits at both the American History Museum and the Natural History Museum. One thing to note though is I know that a lot of times stuff, you want to see stuff that you've seen before and it's gone. I wanted to say hello to Martha, the last passenger pigeon, who lives here at this museum, but she's off display now. They got rid of the exhibit. So they do rotate the exhibits and change the exhibits with relative frequency, which is cool because you can come back and always see something new here. But at the same time, sometimes you get like nostalgic or familiar with an item and then poof, it's gone. Looks like they're doing some major construction right here in the middle of the National Mall. See the Smithsonian Castle over there. Now I was planning on going over and visiting Abe at the Lincoln Monument, but then I thought we should give some attention to the forgotten monument, the Jefferson Monument. Up the Jefferson staircase. No relation to the Jefferson airplane. There he is, Thomas Jefferson himself. The Lincoln Monument may be more popular, but Jefferson is also a member of the Rushmore crew. And he is here in this beautiful rotunda. Because everything in Washington, D.C. is in a rotunda. And in all honesty, there's a fair amount of people here. You know, the old Simpson joke about the Jefferson Monument being the forgotten monument. Everyone goes to the Lincoln Monument instead. But it looks like the Jefferson Monument is popular. However, it looks like it is popular for prom photos. There's a bunch of people in prom dresses here, tuxedos. I guess this is the spot to get your prom photo taken in Washington, D.C. I think I saw a few brides too, a few people getting wedding photos. It is, I guess, a photo spot for people here in Washington, D.C. I guess that, in the end, is Thomas Jefferson's greatest legacy, being the owner of the hottest prom photo spot in Washington, D.C. Glad you're getting some love, Tommy boy. You can see that Washington Monument here from inside the Jefferson Monument. So here at the Jefferson Monument, aka Prom City, I'd like to thank all of you for joining me today. And what did we learn today here in Washington, D.C.? We learned that it's very hard to get to the top of that monument. And I am super honored to be able to be up there and see the beautiful view from the monument. We stopped in to the Smithsonian American History Museum to learn about transportation, trains, planes, and automobiles here in the United States, and to pay homage to Horatio Nelson for his great accomplishment of completing the world's first road trip. We saw the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Magna Carta. I saw them with my own eyes, and it got me a little bit emotional. It's been a great day here in Washington, D.C. We're going to be continuing on U.S. Route 1 in to Virginia tomorrow. No, there's been a lot of cities here in the Northeast, one city after another. I went from Boston to New York City to Baltimore to Washington, D.C. I'm probably Philadelphia. I forgot Philadelphia. A bunch of these major cities. From this point out, I think Route 1 opens up for a little bit. We're going to be traveling through more rural areas as we travel through the southern United States on our way to Key West, Florida. And I hope you guys will continue to join me and be with me there in my passenger seat as I complete this journey to Route 1 to Key West. I think I'm going to get a hotel pretty nearby. Probably go into Virginia and get a hotel room and get bright. Hopefully, fingers crossed, bright and early tomorrow we'll get back on Route 1. But thank you so much for joining me here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. If you like these videos, consider subscribing. If you're new here, I travel around the country filming roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, haunted houses, and other fun stuff throughout the nation for which this is the capital. I've been to 48 of our 50 states here in the United States of America. Hopefully in the near future we will be reaching that 50 mark. That would be a major accomplishment, something I've been gunning for a while. But thank you. And if you would like to help out the channel, you could consider donating to Patreon. $3 or more get you a postcard once a month from me to you. Also, The souvenir shop is open. If you'd like, go down to the Etsy shop and get pressed pennies, motel key fobs, enamel pins, stickers, other fun stuff. All the information is in the description below, and all those things help keep this train on the track, this boat in the river, and this monument high in the air. Until next time, my friends, this one's in the bag.